Hello guys and welcome back to our tutorial and lecture in which we will discuss about primitive data types. What are data types? Data types are certain containers which will hold values for our variables. If there is a variable, the type of the variable is called as the data type. So let us discuss about each and every data type, primitive data type in Java in this section. So we'll start with the byte. Byte is the basic data type which has only 8 bits of size. 8 bits means it can hold to range from 0 to 127 bits and to my name 0 to negative 128 bits. So it can hold also negative numbers and it is used to store very small numbers. And the other thing about it's the when it is initialized inside a class, it has a default value of 0. So that is the about byte. Now let us discuss about next data type, which is short. Short is size 16 bits and it is used for storing the short numbers, small numbers. So it is used mainly to store like the thousands, 2000s, like that numbers we can store using short, and its also default value is 0. Now let us discuss about the next type of data type, which is int. Int is the most commonly used data type, and it is having a size of 32 bits, and it is in the store used to store an intermediate size of numbers. So in toward this lecture we will use more int data type, and int can be used to store IDs and all the values, everything we can store using int. And another thing to understand about int is int can int can be used in scenarios where we need to store even large numbers we can use to store. So let us discuss about the default value of int. Int default value is 0. Next thing which we need to understand, data type which we need to understand is long. So long is a large number holding container. It has 64 bits of size. It can hold large values. Mainly, it is used to store the in database where the primary key columns, everything we will store using long values so that there will be a very less chance of overflow. But this important thing to understand is long is uh, this whatever data types we are discussing in these sections are called as primitive data types. So these primitive data types are used very useful. But important thing to understand is that there are no methods on primitive data types. So they are not objects. So they are only primitive data types. So we cannot have any methods and other functions which we can call on the primitive data types. So we will discuss about these data types when we come to the wrapper classes section. At that time we will discuss about the wrappers for these primitives. For now we will think like these primitive data types are not objects, which makes Java is not 100% object oriented because it consists of these kind of primitive data types. So next we'll discuss about the default value of long. Default value of long is 0L. As you can see that we can use alphabetical values like L, small l and capital L in play after the value so that the compiler can know that this is a particular long value. And important to know is that for long values we usually use the capital letter L so that it will not confuse with the number one. And we will discuss about the next data type, which is the float. Float is used for storing the decimal values, so it can hold decimal values, and its size is 32 bits. And the next thing you have to understand is the default value of float is 0.0f. Next data type which we need to discuss is double. So double is an double precision data type, and it is used to store large decimal numbers or floating point numbers. 64-bit is its size, and it can be have the default value of 0.0D. So that next data type which we will discuss is char. Char is a character data type. It can hold its size is only 16 bits. It can hold only one single character literal. It we can hold a single character literal, and its default value will be 0 u/u 000 four zeros. So this is called as Unicode representation. It will have only if you print that value, you will see there will be nothing on the screen, but it is a default value for characters. Next type of data type is Boolean. Boolean means either true or false. It can only have one size is 0 or 1 or 1 bit, and it is used for only Boolean conditions such as flags, variable flags, everything we can store using Boolean. And another thing to understand about is its default value. So default value of Boolean is always false. So whenever an expression is there, if you don't initialize the Boolean flag in a local, in a global variable, at that time the default value will come as false. We will discuss about this in the practical session, and we will go through some programs also. Now let us discuss about a simple program that uses the all data types in Java. So you can see short, byte, short, long, int, everything, double, float, boolean, and character. All these literals I am declaring and initializing into a variables and printing out the particular variable values. So let us run this program to see that how the literal values are coming up and printing into the console. Here you can see each data type and its value will has came. So this is how we will print line statement can print all the data type values. Here you can see all the data type values. I will come back with another program. Now let us see a program based on the conversion of one data type to another in Java. So one primitive data type will be converted to another primitive data type. There are two types of conversion mainly in Java. The first one is called as the widening. Widening happens when a small data type is converted into a larger data type. At that time automatically it will widen. We don't need to explicitly we don't need to explicitly do anything. Implicitly it will automatically convert. That is what I commented out here. Here you can see an int value I am putting into a long container. As you can imagine that a small value can be holded by the large container. So it is not a problem in Java. It allows. And next type of conversion is called as narrowing or explicit conversion. And in this case we have to explicitly casting is a process in which we will cast a particular type, and we have to declare in the function brackets, we have to mention the type of the particular the data type which we want to cast. And here we am putting it as int a byte value. It is a small container but it has to hold this large container value. Since the value is less than 127, which is the range for byte values, it can hold this value. But if I put a larger value, then this value will overflow and it will show another different value in the byte value, but it will not throw any error, but it will show a overflowed value, which is not good for our calculations. And that is how we will do the conversions between the data types. So let us run this program to see the output. It is whether it is correctly converted into other data type or not. So the output has came and the types are converted successfully. Now let us see another program. Now let us discuss about a program which shows the default values for data types. So in the final program we will see the data types uh, default values. Now we can see here I am put an int value, static int value. These all called as global variables. It is a global variable in the concept of a class. It is a global variable. It is declared right under the class. So if it gives this kind of variables, then these variables will have a default value, and which we can print it in our main method, which we will print. And it's important to know that the local variables which we declared inside the main method don't have any default values. It has to be initialized, but the global variables will have a default value. So let us see the output for this program. Here you can see the default value of the int is 0, default value of double is 0.0, d, and default value of character is nothing is printed because it is only null character, so there will be nothing into print. And the next thing is the boolean default value is false. So thank you for watching this section on data type, primitive data types. Here we seen about all the different types of primitive data types and see the programs for the conversion of data types and different data types printing. And finally, we discussed about the default values which are coming onto the data types. So thank you for watching this session. Please continue watching the tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the lecture on derived data types. So data types we seen in the last lecture, there are 8 primitive data types. Each data type has its own specific purpose. So it is not enough in Java to meet our requirements. So there need to have some derived data types that will meet our full requirement of having complex objects, everything. So we'll discuss about derived data types in this section. So we'll start with the important thing which you need to understand about is derived data types are user defined. That means we can customize our derived data types. Usually your derived data types can also contains in the derived data type in the derived data type we can declare a, a primitive data type also inside them, and we can have a multiple primitive data types also which will hold the particular derived data type. These derived data types are also classes which will hold a particular values. We will discuss when we come to the programming part of this lecture. We can see that we will explain it in that part. Next thing which you need to understand about the different types of derived data types which are there. So the first type is like string. String is the most commonly seen derived data type. It is a sequence of characters, names, anything we can store, URLs, everything we can store in the string data structure, data derived data type, and it is most widely used. We will discuss about strings when the strings lesson will come, but for now we think like it is a derived data type. Next thing which is the collection classes such as are a list, set, map, queue. These all will have a different data structures, and these are all derived data types which can hold some values, and we will discuss about them when we come to the collections lesson. For now, let us think like they are all derived data types. Thank you for watching. Now we will see a practical for this. Now let us see a program based on the derived data type in Java. So here I have created a derived data type called as book, and in this book also it is a class also, and I have created a class book, and in the class book I have put two variables. In one, first one is int id, and the second one is the name. Here you can see that book data type can hold two values, integer value id and integer value name, and the string value name. So now let us see the main method in the example one program. In the example one program, in the main method I am created an object of book. So here you can see, if you have derived data type, you have to create an object for the derived data type, and then you have to set the particular values to the derived data type using the dot operator. So here you can see the dot operator I am using to set the particular id and name into the particular data type. And here we can see and finally I am printing each the values after putting the values. I am printing out the values of the book ID and name, and that is it for the derived data type. And you can see that derived data types are complex data types. It consists of primitive data type as well as another derived data types also, and it is very important to know about these derived data types. Now let us run this program to see the output of how the book value is getting printed or not. Here you can see the output. The book ID and book name came. So now let us see another program. Now let us see a simple program for printing a string value. This is string is also a derived data type, so it is most commonly used. The important thing about to know about string is that string is an immutable data type. So that once we declare a string variable, we cannot change the value of the string value later. If we change it, a new string will be created only. The initial value will be not changed, and that is the derived data type of string. And let us see the output, the simple output. This will print the name of the name. Yes, that's it. The output came. So it's important to know that in this lecture we have learned about the derived data type. Derived data types are important to learn that they have can hold many different types of data types. It will make our program look very complex, but we need to have instances where we need to have a derived data type, and derived data types are used when there is a requirement for like complex data structure we need to implement. There are already Java has inbuilt data, complex data structures in the collection API, in which consists of array list, hash set, hash map. Everything will be there. Once we learn collections, you will be able to understand the limitations and the problems which will happen if you use only a particular primitive data type. So in that scenario, we use the derived data types, and let us wind up this session. And thank you for watching this lecture. See you in another lecture. Welcome back to the another session. In this lecture, we will discuss about operators in Java. So what are operators? Operator definition we can easily understand by taking an example. For example, if an operation is like a plus b, plus is called as the operator. A and b are called as the operands. So that is the operator definition. So operators are used everywhere to not only for mathematical operations, all other operators are the logical operators, assignment operators, everything we will discuss in this lecture. So we'll consider the first thing is the types of operators. So there are based on the number of operands, the operators can be classified into three: unary, and binary and ternary. So these are the three different types of operators. We will start with the unary operator. So unary operators are mainly of two types: postfix and prefix. Postfix means we will have a value which will be incremented first, and then later the value will be assigned. We will discuss when the practical for this example will come. We will understand how the postfix and the prefix will work. For now, it will think like it doesn't have multiple operands. It only have a single operand, and for that operand, before the operand, we can put the operator plus plus and minus minus, and after that also we can put. Then it will become the postfix representation. So that is the unary operator. Unary operator. Now let us see the as a next type of operator, which is the arithmetic operator. Arithmetic operator is add, subtract, all the mathematical operations, divide, remainder, multiplication, all those are allowed in Java. So that is the arithmetic operator. The next type of operator is shift operators. So shift operators means if there is a binary data, and you want to shift the number of bits by left or right, we have left bit and right bit and unsigned right bit, right shift operator. So these all the three different, we can see the symbol like greater than and less than symbols are used for shifting the bits. We will see when the practical for this session will come, then you will able to understand how the bitwise operator will shift operator will work. Now let us see the next type of example. Next type of operator, which is the relational operator. Relational operator mainly used to compare to numbers or values, and it is used greater than or less than symbol, and greater than or equal to, and not and the for equality operator also comes under the relational. So there is double equals means in Java to check the equality of particular value, and not equal to means and the value is not equal to a particular value or not, that we will check. We will use these equality operators in if blocks and other boolean blocks. Now let us discuss about the next type, which is the bitwise. The bitwise means we want to do bitwise operations on a particular binary data. So this is used. There are three types of bitwise operators. First one is the AND operator, and will do a logical and the bitwise and operation. And it will we'll see when the practical for the session comes. Then you will able to understand how this bitwise operator will work. And now, and next type is the OR and the exclusive OR. These three types are the bitwise operators. Next operator is the Boolean operator. Boolean operators means you want to have some Boolean operations on a particular string, particular Boolean values. So in that time you can use the Boolean operators. There are three types: and, or, and XOR. These three are, we will check Boolean. It's same as the truth table of these values will be the same. If you studied mathematical Boolean below algebra and everything, you will be able to understand this, and we'll explain when the tutorial come and the video of this will come. Next thing is the logical operator. Logical operators are used as similar to the Boolean operation. The difference is that it has evaluation is based on the short circuit. So what happens in this case of Boolean or the logical operators is that the first, there are two conditions in the Boolean expression, for example. So the first condition, if it is success, then the second condition will not be evaluated. But in case of Boolean operators, both the conditions will be evaluated. In case of logical operator, only the first condition, if it fails, then the next condition will be skipped. So it will be like a short circuited evaluation. Next thing, the types of logical operators, and or. There are only two types. Next type of operator is assignment operator. So assignment operators are used to assign a specific value to a particular data type. We can give that assignment operator. There are equal to and plus equal to, and this the plus equal to means a plus b equal to a plus equal to 10 means a equal to a plus 10. That means we are assigning it and incrementing the adding it into the initial variable. We will explain this when the practical for this session will come. Next type of operator is the ternary operator. Ternary operator is used to evaluate ternary Boolean conditions. In case if there is three operators, first one condition will be the Boolean condition we will check, and then of if the question mark symbol will be there. After that we will put the first statement. If the statement of the Boolean is true, then this statement one will be executed, and followed by that a colon will be there, and colon after colon we will put the statement 2. Then the statement 2 will be true only if it will execute only if the condition fails. So this is the theoretical aspects of the operators in Java. Now let us see the program for this. Now let us see a program for unary operator in Java. So here we can see a pre-increment I'm putting and post increment both I'm doing. Here I can see before at the time of evaluation I am putting printing, and after the pre-incrementation and the operation is done, then also I am printing the value. Here you can see, we will see the output, and we will see, we can understand from the output that the how the pre-increment and the post-increment will work. So output has came. You can see that initial value was 1. When we assigned it at that time, also the value was printed and it was 1. And after the assignment, the value will become 2. For post increment, what it will do is initially the value is getting incremented, and later also it will the value will be the 2. So let us see the program again. So here you can see plus I plus plus means the assignment will happen once, and later the value will be increment. For a plus plus I, it means the assignment and the incrementation will happen at that occasion, and later the it will affect that line of the code, that statement, and later when we go to the next line, it will print the same value. So that is it for the unary operator. Now let us see a program for arithmetic operators in Java. So arithmetic operators, you can see here, I add, multiplication, division, remainder, everything is there. Subtraction. So when we divide a number in integer, the value will be, the integer value will be returning. If there any decimal places are there, it will be ignored. Only the in the floor and the integer value will be returned. So that is the arithmetic operator. Let us see the output. Here you can see the output as came. Remainder is 0 because it is 0 dividing completely. Now we'll see another program. Now let us see a program for shifting of bits in Java. So there is a number which we will assign, and the number will be converted into its binary form, and we have to shift the number of bits. So we can use the angle bracket, not a angle symbol, to represent this shifting operation. So the shifting operator we can see, and three different types are there: left shift, right shift, and unsigned right shift. And let us see the output for this. Here we can see the shifted bits will come. Here we can see the output. So it will come with the next operator. Now let us see a program for relational operators in Java. So here you can see in the main method I created two variables, and I'm checking the variables is equal to or greater than, like that I'm checking. So equality operator, as a greater than operator, less than operator, all the operators are discussed in this lecture in this program. And let us see the output for this. So the output has came. I is greater, I is less, sorry. That is the output. Here you can see it clearly. Now let us see the program for the next type of operator. Now let us see a program for bitwise operator in Java. So bitwise operators are used to manipulate the bits in Java. So binary data is there, then we can manipulate using by bitwise operator. So there are three different types of bitwise operators: and, or, and exclusive or. So these three have different truth tables, and different operations will be there. And this, once you understand how this will work, you can search in Google to find out how the bitwise operations will work in Boolean in binary algebra, and we can find out that. And let us see the output for this program. So here you can see the output has came. The bitwise operator has worked, and it is the output will come. Thank you for watching. Now let us see another program on operators. Now let us see a program on Boolean operator in Java. So here you can see the Boolean operator. I'm putting two values and using the Boolean operators and, or, and XOR, and these three will have different truth table. You can search in Google to find out the truth table for the XOR and, or, and we can find out that. If you have time, you please check it out. Now let us see the output for this. Here you can see the output as came. So that is it for the Boolean operator. Now let us see a program for logical operators in Java. So the logical operators are used along with an if block You can see the double ampersand and double pipe symbol can be used to do that operation. And ampersand means the AND operator, logical and it will happen. So here you can see the short circuited evaluation will happen. So if the first condition is having as a value, then it will not evaluate the second condition. For example, if it is 0, then the for AND condition it will not evaluate the second condition. For or if the first condition is true, then it will not evaluate the next condition. So like that it will make a short circuit evaluation. It is useful when we want to write some conditional logic. For example, we want to check a null pointer exception, null exception, null we want to check. This will explain when we come to the another lecture about the strings and everything. At that time we will check explain about this condition. For now let us think about that these logical operators are used to do the Boolean evaluation on particular conditions. Now let us see the output for this. So the output has came as per expected. So that is it for the Boolean operators. Logical operators, sorry. Now let us see a program for assignment operator in Java. So the assignment operators are used to assign particular values. We are already familiar with these assignment operators. We are used it throughout this lecture. In this series, we are already used. So we can see a equal to 10, equal to 10, like that we have declared a variable. Like that we can give assign, and a plus a equal to a plus something we can give. That means that initially a plus equal to means it is a shorthand representation of a equal to a plus 10. So we can represent like that shorthandly by adding by keeping this representation. So this will check the output to know more about this. So the output has came as per expected. So the value is coming. So that is it for the assignment operator. Now let us see the final example in which we will see the ternary operator. So ternary operator has three operands. Here you can see I have put a ternary operator here. Question mark Boolean expression followed by a question mark symbol, and then if the value is condition is success, then the first statement will work. If the value is failing, and the second statement will work. So that is how ternary operator will work. Now let us see the output for this. Here you can see it is printing. So that is it for this lecture on operators. We in this lecture we had gone through different types of operators, and we have discussed about all the operators. And like 9 operators are there mainly. All the operators we have discussed, and we can see we are gone through a simple programs on all the operators. I hope you learned a lot of this, a lot about operators in this lecture. Thank you for watching. Please continue watching the series. In this final lecture of our section, we will discuss about garbage collection in Java. So what is garbage collection? So garbage collection is a process of reclaiming the unused runtime memory. For example, if you have created an object is like an instance of a class which we will create, and these objects we will explain about objects in the object programming of part of our course. But for now, let us discuss about this reclaiming this memory resources. So garbage collection allows us is a important process in which these unused dereferenced objects will be reclaimed by the system. So it is an automatic process. It is done by the Java in the background. So whenever we are not using an object and the object is dereferenced, at that time this garbage collection will trigger, and it will cause the object to and destroy the object. And now we in other programming language we have to do manually the garbage collection process. We have to take care of dereferencing the objects in order to improve the memory, else it will cause memory leaks and other issues. So now let us discuss the about the various how we can make our objects ready for garbage collection. So we can make our objects ready for garbage collection. Before that, I want to tell that the garbage collection not is not a it will happen in the right at that moment. We have to wait for the garbage collection. It will happen if the compiler thinks there is an unused object. It will automatically trigger the garbage collection. We can only hint the compiler that this object is dereferenced, and you can take it like that. We can do. So we'll see the different ways of achieving this. The first one is nulling the reference. So if you put a variable after the use of the variable, we are putting it back to null. That means that object is ready for reference. Is not really needed for us for the further program. So it is a dereferenced object. It will come back, it will reclaim, and it will the garbage collection may trigger. So we can say that it may trigger. It is not sure that garbage collection will work at any particular instance. It depends upon the several GC algorithms which we are not going to explain. But it is a background process. It will work like that. So next way of doing it is by referencing a new object. So if we create a new object and refer it, that way also we can the old object will be ready for garbage collection. And the third way is using the anonymous object. Anonymous object means the object will not be have any name. We will not create a reference to that object. We usually simply use the new operator and create the object. And this is the how we can do this garbage collection, how we can trigger. Now let us see the practical for this. Now let us discuss about garbage collection with the program. So here is a student object. Student, I created a student object here. Student has only one field which is name. Now let us see the program for the student garbage collection. Here I can see the you can see I am initialized the student using a new operator. I created an object, and after using the object by setting a value, I am dereferencing the object by equating it to null. So nulling the reference is a one way of garbage collection. So this is for the example for garbage collection. Now let us see another example. Now let us see another example for the garbage collection in which I am creating a new object. I will use the same student object for this example also, and the student object will have name property. So I am giving the name, and after that I am creating a second object is s2, and you can see that I am equating s2 equal to s1, and by that s1 will be ready for garbage collection. So thank you for watching. Now we'll see another example using anonymous objects. Now let us see the final example using anonymous objects. Here you can see the same student object I am using, but here new student of dot name like that I am putting it out. So here you can see that anonymous objects I can use. So this is the example using anonymous object. Here you can it will be directly garbage collected. So the garbage collection process we are explained in this lecture. So in this actual lecture we also seen the three different ways of making our code ready for garbage collection. This is related to objects and everything. For now, if you are not understanding very much, you can come back and watch the video after watching the objects and classes video. Yeah, thank you for watching now. Thank you and continue watching the next section. Thank you.